Hi folks, we had a look at this rototiller and we couldn't get it working by changing the carb and cleaning the carb. We needed to do a bit more investigation on it, so let's see if we can get it running in this video. See you in a minute. Well, if you see my previous video on this, you'll probably notice that we done a carb clean, we had a spare carb, and we had an issue still with the carb, with it pouring out fuel. I did take the float out, as you saw in the last video, and it had a bent shaft, so I did actually change that with the other float from the other carb, but obviously we've still got an issue. We seem to be getting some sort of backfiring through the carburetor, and also some sort of blowing. So what I'm going to do first is to give it a compression test, just to see what's going on. We have got fuel, we have got a spark, but something else is obviously an issue. So let's start there. So the first thing we're going to do is to give it a compression test. And to do that, I've obviously got to take the spark plug out. Now, it was getting too much fuel, so there is a good chance that there still is an issue with that carb. I'm going to have a look at that later. But if we've got fuel there and we've got spark, we should be getting a running engine. So let's put that to one side. And I've got one of these compression testers there, as you can see. So I'll just find the right adapters, which I think is this one here. And just screw that into a spark plug hole. It's got a rubber seal on the bottom, so you haven't got to go too mad there to seal it up. And then we put the adapter in, the adapter tube. And then we'll just plug our gauge on here, like thus. I'll try and keep this so that you can see it. Right, let's keep that like that. And now I'm going to give it a pull and see what the compression's reading. We've got full throttle on as well, by the way, so it's on full speed, so the throttle venturi is fully open. Now, let's have a look what we got. Right, well, we got about 70 PSI there. That's not too bad, but it could be a bit better than that. Sort of between 80 and 100, maybe. I was hoping to get somewhere down there. So it is a bit down. So what I'm going to probably do is just to take the cylinder head off. I'm going to have a look in there just to see if we have got a sticky valve, because that could be the problem. So I'll just remove this fuel tank, remove the cylinder head. I'll put you on time lapse for that, and I'll see you when we're down to there. Right, so I've just loosened the cylinder head bolts. I'm just turning it over, and there appears to be a little bit of slapping. I don't quite know what that slapping is in there. Can you hear that? So let's just whiz these off. They're all loose now. Right, there we go. And let's have a little look inside. Well, it does have a head gasket on it, and everything appears to be okay. A little bit of carbon build-up, as you can probably see, but not too much. The head gasket seems to be sound. I'll try not to disturb the head gasket at this stage of the game, because obviously I haven't got another one. So let's just turn that piston up and down. The bore is in relatively good shape. Bring it to the top, and what I want to do is just to rock it from side to side. There doesn't appear to be, oh, there is quite a bit of play. There is quite a bit of play in sideways movement, which could indicate that the rings are either stuck or worn. And let's see if the valves open and shut as they should do. Yeah, they appear to be shutting and opening as they should do. Although this one, you can give these a wiggle side to side as well to see if they're if the valve guides are worn. There is a bit of play on the valve guides, not the exhaust one. There's more on the intake side, and it seems to be pulling down at an angle. This one here, which could be that noise. Could be that noise we're getting. Can you hear that sort of slapping noise? Now what I'm going to do is just drop some fuel into the cylinder head area. Let's just wipe the top of that first to get some of that crud out of it. As I say, I'm not trying to disturb the head gasket too much because I haven't got a spare one. I would imagine this has been off because it's pretty clean on top of the piston there, as you can see. It's like someone's actually cleaned it. Just put a drop of WD on there just to clean it off for a bit. Right, so yeah, there is a bit of movement on the side there. So if I just put some fuel, let's just bring it up to the top near enough. Just put some fuel on the top of the piston. I'm seeing if it runs away. Because what I'm thinking is that the valves could be letting by as well. I think it's seeping past the valves by the looks of it as well. So there's a very good chance that the valves aren't seating correctly. And that's the blowback we're getting through the carburetor. So I think we have got an issue with compression on this little engine. It's lifting, so the petrol might have helped that. So maybe we can rescue it, yeah. So we've rescued that, so we can keep that. What I think I'm going to try and do, I'm going to take the carb off. I'm going to take the exhaust off because we get entry to the valves through this side of the barrel. Take the valves out, we'll lap the valves in. That's probably about the best we can do. And then we'll see how it goes there because we are getting blowback through the carburetor via the inlet valve. So let me take the carb off and the exhaust, pop the valves out, and then we'll lap them in and we'll take it from there. That's the most we can do with this. Anyway, I'll see you in a minute. Right, I just thought I'd show you this. I've had to use my valve spring compressors in there to compress the spring. And under the bottom of the spring, that one there on the left hand side, I've actually pulled out the pin. Once the spring's compressed, you then pull out the pin underneath, and then what you're able to do is to hopefully lift the valve straight out. See, that sideward movement in the valve is never a good thing. That shouldn't have that sideward movement because that's when you get blow by, and that can result in crankcase pressure called blowback or blow past. So that's never a good thing. So let's just take that valve out, and you can probably see the hole at the bottom of the valve, which is, let me get the other bit out and I'll show you. Come out of there. Like that. That there is the push rod which goes up and down, what pushes the valve open and shut. You'll see it go up and down in a second. There we go, it's going up now, which pushes on the valve stem and in turn opens the valve up. Now the thing we might be having a problem with is poor seating around here, and bearing in mind I've had it before where these valves have been so worn, they've when they've had wiggling in the valve stem like that, that they've worn an oval shape. So I've had that before. So basically what you have is that in the top, and from underneath you have that, you have this little seat there, and then you have this pin which goes through, very tricky, and that keeps the valve from popping out. So that's the sort of thing you've got under the valve. But what we've got to do, them valves look quite worn actually. There may not be any salvage in these, but that's the valve guide. There's no adjustment on these, by the way. They are what they are. So let me put that over there for a moment. I'll take the the inlet valve out as well, and there seems to be even more play in that one. You can hear that clicking. So not a good sign. We may or may not be able to salvage this engine. It might be too worn basically. But if that is the case, once we put it back together and it doesn't want to start because it's of low compression, then I've got a couple of other engines, like the Honda engines, for example, which you've seen in previous videos. I may have a look at perhaps transferring one of those onto here if I can, if the pulleys are the same size. So that will be the final step. We've got to get this thing working one way or another. Right, I've just removed the pin from the bottom of this valve, and I just wanted to show you this. This is the inlet valve. This is the one which I believe we've had problems with blowback in the carburetor. Now, I hope you can see there that, can you see the amount of movement on the side of that valve? That would give us blowback into the carburetor, especially if the valve seat isn't seating correctly as well, which I presume that it wouldn't be. And what that would also produce would be a very much difficult in starting the engine. I've had this before with engines that have got worn valves in, and they're notoriously difficult to start. Once you get them started, they're normally okay, they'll run. But from cold, poor starting is the problem, and that's what we seem to have here. So I think we've found our problem. It's basically worn valve guides and also poor seating on the valves, which is causing our lower compression and also difficulty starting because we're getting the blowback. And another thing I've realised as well, let me just take this valve out. Again, this is the inlet valve. You probably can't see that, but that's actually worn oval. It's not seating correctly as well. Can you see there? It's narrower. When I spin it round, it gets wider there. See the black sooty bit is wider. Take it round this way, it's narrower. So that means the valve has been slapping around inside the engine. And really, there's not a lot we can do for this engine because the valve guides you can't really change in this. It's not really going to be worth it because you need to spend money on new valves as well. And that's not really going to be feasible in this situation. So it looks like I'm going to be forced to abandon this engine. It could run, but it's never going to start well. And that's the problem. That's a big problem for this engine. It is beyond the economic repair. So we're going to have to abort the mission on this one now. We found the problem and the issue. So I don't know whether someone's been in here before, but if I take this spring out now, I keep saying to myself, I'm going to put my gloves on, but I always forget. Let me get that valve out of there, that spring. We get the spring out. I don't know whether this is intentional or not, but this spring is actually a smaller spring than the exhaust valve. Let me show you. This one's the inlet spring, this one's the exhaust spring. Can you see the difference in thickness there as well? So the inlet spring has got a lot less tension on it, which I don't know whether someone's accidentally put the wrong spring in there or whether it's supposed to be like that. Normally they're pretty much the same, but that's got no real tension in it at all. So that wouldn't help in the sealing. This one's quite hard to press in, as you can see, and this one very easy to compress. So that wouldn't be helping the valve. That would make the valve slap around a lot more, which is exactly what we've got there. So there you go. There is a difference there as well. I don't know whether they should be the same, but that results in this engine's really had it. So I probably will have to go to option 2, and that is to take this engine off, take the side casing off, remove the pulleys, and see if I can fit one of those Honda engines I've got, them spare Honda engines, see if that will bolt on here and get this tiller working. So I'm not going to show you that strip down procedure. It's very messy. I'm going to have a clean up, regather myself, take this engine off, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll see you in a minute. Okie dokie, right, I've removed the engine pulley. That's just got a little grub screw in the side there, and then the pulley just literally pulls straight off. I've also undone the 4 engine bolts that hold it down, so technically speaking now, this should lift straight off. There we go. There we go, that's nice and simple, isn't it? Look at that. Let's put that over there. There is a spacer there, some sort of spacer block there, so I'm not sure, as I say, whether or not our new one will marry up with this. We've got to try it. So let me clean this area up first, and then I'll come back to you, and we'll see if we can dig one of our other Honda engines out and see if it will fit this. See you in a minute. Right, I think you'll agree I've been a busy boy. It's taken me probably a couple of hours to get to this stage. I've got 3 or 4 of these engines, as you probably know, and this one was the nearest thing. None of the mountings lined up, so I've had to make a couple of brackets up to fix it on. And let me show you what I've done. So the original bolts for the engine was here, and this one sits a lot more forward, as you can see, so I've had to put new bolt holes through there. And because it's sitting more forward, I've had to bring it this far forward because the pulley, as you can see, to get it to line up in the correct area, the engine had to come this way. So I've had to put a couple of heavy duty brackets on here just to hold it in place like that. So that is solid as a rock now. Now, one thing I've overlooked is I did measure this roughly, and the pulley is probably a metric pulley on this one, and the original one was an imperial. There, they look the same size, but they're slightly different. And the problem I've got here is that I can't actually get the pulley on at the moment. So what I'm going to have to do is to either increase the size of this, look for another pulley, find a metric pulley like this, or try and trim this down. And I'm going to work on that a bit later on, but let's just start it up now. As I say, I haven't started this engine for, oh God, months and months, probably even a year or so. I did do a video on the last time I started this engine, but it's not run, obviously, since that time. So we've got the choke on, we've got fuel on. I've just put some fresh petrol in it. We've put the switch to the on position, and let's see what we can get here. Bit cold at the moment. Put the choke on again. Oh, I've had the fuel off. I had the fuel tap the wrong way. Oh, what a burk. It says on that way. I was putting it that way. It's running out of fuel. Oh my God. Now it don't want the choke on. There we go. Can you believe that? I had the fuel tap off. I'm happy with that. That's a nice little engine. That's solid as a rock, that engine. Pulley's in virtually the right place. So provided I can get that pulley on there, I should be good to go. What I was thinking of doing was getting a file and bringing down the size of the pulley gradually by doing this. Well, that'll probably take a while to do that, but I think it's going to probably work, to be honest with you. Because it's actually come down quite a bit already. I will have to persevere with that. And I'm sure you'll see that the shaft is coming down. You can see the marks on it. And the thing is, while it's rotating, it's going to go in a circular, it won't oval off sort of thing, because it's be continuously round. So all I've basically got to do is to get that pulley on there like that. Once that's on there, the little grub screw do up, the woodruff key will go in, because there's a slot in the wheel there as well, in the pulley there as well, the shaft. And I think we should be good to go. So you'll have to allow me a bit of time to carry on with this, because I haven't got a lathe, I haven't got access to no one with a lathe. That would have been ideal, but I'll persevere with this. But I hope you agree that this old thing with worn valve seals and the totally shot valve seats, see, it's not just a matter of just replacing the valves in this. The valve seats, as you can see, there's too much play in them, causing the movement to the seats. And for some reason, that one had a smaller spring on it. So this is the reason that it was poor starting. And there's no way around this. The engine's basically shot at the end of the day, so there's nothing more I could have really done to that. I could have put it back together, and you can get them starting by, someone did suggest starting them with a battery drill and getting them spinning fast enough, but you'll never pull start it. I've had this before with these sort of engines, and especially when the valves are in that sort of state, as you can see there. Very narrow silver band at the top there, and when you spin it round, it gets a lot wider, as you can see there. Well, I was going to finish the video there, as you know, but I persevered. I've been at it for about another 20 minutes. This is what I've done. There you go. It went on a treat. Absolutely lovely and tight. And guess who turns up when I finish this doing the job? You.
Well, I've had a couple of days off from that burrowing.
So, everything's back on. I haven't started it up yet. And as you can see, just hold it up for a minute, Gary. There. As you can see, the metal that come off there, just by holding the file there, and that was just enough to bring it down, to get it on, and everything as tight as anything. That pull is lovely and tight on here now. It's a nice slide fit on there. Grub screws done up. The old belt's on. And what I've had to do is to take off the speed control up there, because on this the speed control's down here, and obviously the kill switch is obviously there as well. So, right, we're going to get it off the hoist now, and we'll see if it excavates or rotavates. Right, okay then. So let's pull this into the middle. I'm not sure how this works, by the way. You want to start it up?
Huh?
Pull start it for me.
So you've basically increased the value of my rotavator?
Well, basically increase the value of our rotavator.
Oh, it's ours, is it?
Right, so switch the switch on, and it should pull start straight away. It's pretty warm. So, if I lift that up like that, it's working, isn't it? Happy days. Switch it off. I think it has got 2 speeds. It's got 2 sets of pulleys on it, but we'll leave it on the low one for the minute. Let's get it outside and see if it works. I don't know whether the belt needs adjusting, you see. It seemed to dig into the floor, didn't it?
It was pulling them, wasn't it?
Right, let's get it outside. Right, let's get it out here. This is the thing, you see. I've got no blinking floor level here, have I? Right, ready? Okay. Yep. Right, bring it around there then. I'll let you do it. I've got a bad shoulder.
Oh, you're still using that one?
Right. Okay, get it over there. Go on in, get it on the grass. Right, try it there. I'll start it up for you. Right, on. Needs adjusting, doesn't it? Yeah, stop it there. I think you adjust the length of that chain by that S there, yeah? So let's get it off, because it weren't pulling fast enough, was it? Try that one. That feel a bit more tension? Right, let's try that. Oh, you got to take the wheels off, right? Okay, let's do that then. Hold on. So,
No, the geezer says you take these wheels off,
yeah,
and then you sink that into the floor.
right.
It should put it along. But with them wheels on, it's nose diving.
Right, so you're supposed to take the wheels off.
That's what he said, and then you sink them bars in the floor.
Right, okay. Right, there's one nut off. That's got a big bloody nut on that one. Let's get that wheel off. Right, so that's the 2 wheels off. It might need extra speed, mightn't it? Or
You have to just sink it in the floor like that.
right, okay. Well, we've never worked one before, so let's turn it on. Oh yeah, that's better. And it pulls itself along, doesn't it? Yeah. That's it, isn't it? Oh, I've just increased the value of that thing about 100 quid. There you are. But as I say, you can increase the speed on it by changing the pulleys. And it's pulling all the weeds out, look. There we go. I think it's doing what it's supposed to do. Yeah. Look at them weeds there, look. Pulling them all up to the surface. Happy days. Just wants that speed control put on, doesn't it? See, if I had the speed control on like that, there we go, look at that. Happy days. Are you ready?
Break that off then, isn't it?
Well, I think you can safely say that that has now turned out a success. It did give us a few problems along the way, but just a little bit of a cunning skill and a little bit of ingenuity, we was able to get over it, and it's doing the job, as you can see there. It's going to probably be worth a lot more money now, what with that Honda engine in. So,
well, it's going to stay with that web lawnmower. They're going to be getting kept.
hey?
It's going to be staying.
Oh, is it?
Get done up with that web and keep them too. I want it powder coated.
Hey?
I want it powder coated.
I want it's running with a well, not a brand new, an old engine, Honda engine, which I got for scrap many years ago, and you've got to be happy with that. Happy days. So don't forget, if you like my videos, do hit the subscribe button and also ring that little notification bell and set your preferences to all. That way you'll get notified every time I upload a video. Thanks very much. Hope you've enjoyed this little tinkering video. It was a bit of a pain, but we got there in the end. Thanks very much. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, bye for now.